welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we have the honor and distinction to be here today with Chairwoman Nicole Love Hendrickson. And Chairwoman Nicole Love Hendrickson is
Yes.
the first African American to sit as the county chairperson in Gwinnett County. And Gwinnett County is how old, Chairwoman?
204 years old.
204 years old. 1800s. Isn't that something?
Yes.
Such a great honor. Thank you for helping us kick off Black History Month with you. You are definitely I am history, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much. So if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you want to run for chairwoman of Gwinnett County, the second largest county in the state.
Well, my career in public service began well before my name appeared on the ballot. I have a history of working in the community, working with youth organizations, working in the school system, being part of a nonprofit organization that was tasked with developing a comprehensive strategy around social needs in the county, to coming over to county government, to spearhead and launch the county's first ever community outreach program, to now navigating as the first chair of the second most populous county in the state of Georgia. But I also want to share and highlight that, I come from very humble beginnings, and because I was personally impacted by poverty, homelessness. I was raised by a single mom who suffered with a drug addiction, and she raised four of us. And my desire to want to get involved in the community really came from the adversity I faced as a young person, and knowing that this was not the path I wanted to continue on. And if I was going to break this cycle, I needed to go on and get my education, which I put myself through college, even when I had a guidance counselor tell me that I should consider going to beauty school or 2-year college.
There's always the one.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And we see that a lot with our kids. Their standards are lowered because of their family background. I'm the first to ever go to college, and I had a guidance counselor who thought, well, you can't afford it, you don't have the grades, and you should just consider going to a 2-year school or some type of trade like a beauty school or something like that. And I said, no, not today.
I know
that's I'm not doing that. Right?
That's what a guidance counselor did to Michelle Obama.
Yeah,
exactly. She was looking at Princeton. She told her, not to aim so high.
And that's unfortunate, because think about how many kids have accepted that.
Yes.
And couldn't go on to be the next Michelle Obama or a scientist or a space engineer. I mean, there's so much greatness in our community, and unfortunately, kids are brought to a lower expectation. And I'm here to tell you, kids, no, you can be anything that you want to be.
Amen. Yes, you could be the next chairperson.
That's right.
You can be the next chairperson.
Yes.
And when I started my journey to becoming chair, I actually was told, the second time I was told I shouldn't do something was when I decided to throw my name in the hat to be chair. And at the time, I was the only woman in my race of all men.
Wow.
And some of them had been previous elected officials. They were businessmen, they were attorneys. I was told, well, this is your first time running in the race, you're not going to win, or maybe you should just take a back seat because XYZ has worked for this and he deserves to get this seat. And it's like, well, why should I downplay myself when my community has asked me to step up? There are no Black women on this slate, and we are the largest voting bloc. I need to give Black women an option. And that's what we did, so I decided to throw my name in the hat despite the naysayers, but I had a strong backing of my community who said, you know what, we need you. During the time I ran, it was in 2020. As soon as the pandemic hit, I declared my candidacy in March of 2020. The state shut down.
Yes.
Everything shut down. And I said, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now? And so,
Right.
but I stayed the course because I recognized that if anyone needs to step up, it's a leader who has compassion and the vision to really navigate through these waters. My background is in social work. So I went to
Okay.
University of Georgia, got my master's degree in social
Oh,
work.
that's a great school. That's a great school for
Go
social work.
dogs, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dogs, amazing school of social work, and decided to go through that program. And fast forwarding to the 2020, when I decided to throw my name in the hat, I actually shifted gears and decided to put my social work hat on. And so I was building opportunities for people to get connected to resources as they were losing jobs, as they were figuring out where their next meal was going to come from, as they were losing their homes. And I was making connections to these individuals, really doing the work of a provider and not so much a candidate. And when I called on people, it wasn't to ask them for money or a vote. It was to ask them how they were doing, because that's what people needed at that time. And I think,
how can I connect you to this person, to resources?
Exactly. And that was my background. And that's the work, even the work that I did prior to coming to county government. That was the type of work I was doing with the Gwinnett Coalition for Health and Human Services. I was the associate director.
Okay.
And so I addressed a lot of the issues that we see now in that nonprofit setting. So I already knew where the resources were, and it was just a matter of making those connections.
And I love that you come from that background, because the Gwinnett, I've been in Gwinnett since 2002. I've been in Georgia since 1994, and Gwinnett has changed so much in the time since I've been in Georgia, and even since the 21 years that I've been here. And so having a chairperson and even county commissioners who understand that the county has changed, the needs of the county have changed. Like, for instance, for a long time, the county commission wouldn't even consider public transportation on a wide scale.
And if I can add to that, in my opinion, in addition to that, that's really important, someone who is culturally competent. To me, that speaks so much. When you said it wasn't about
on that one,
right? It's not about donating to my campaign or showing up for photo ops. You literally were calling people to see, how are you today? And it wasn't coming from a fake space. You genuinely care about the well-being because you are culturally competent. You experienced it yourself, and you're empathetic, and you know that without care, we should not be known solely for our technology and infrastructures and transportation. If we have a horrible humanity, love and care for our fellow human being, then how great are we? Right?
You're absolutely right, which is why it's so important for lived experiences to be at the table. And, having faced the adversity that I faced, I recognize that there is greater potential in our leaders to really act on humanity, as opposed to focusing on the things that they believe we do well, like infrastructure, public safety. We need to reprioritize and focus on the people, because I think having infrastructure and the capacity to serve is one thing, but when you invest in your human capital and invest in your people, that is really who is going to continue to keep your communities moving forward. You've got to take care of your people, and which is why I always believe it's important to lead with empathy and humanity at the heart of everything. I can't say that every leader knows how to do that or is even willing to do that. But and that's why it's important to have a diversity of thought, but a diversity of lived experiences. Because leaders who have never been impacted by the issues, if they've never had to figure out how they're going to get from point A to point B, if they've never had to struggle with where their meal is going to come from every night, if they've never had to struggle with where am I going to lay my head, then of course they're not thinking about those issues and prioritizing those issues in their communities. And so I'm a leader, and I'm of the mindset that, look, we learn from the things that we do great, and we're going to continue doing that. But now we're going to focus and refocus our efforts on the things that we don't do great. And I'm the first to say Gwinnett County does not do a good job with addressing our homelessness. We have not done a good job with addressing public transportation. We have not done a good job of addressing the socioeconomic disparities that communities of color have faced in this community for decades. And I have a solution to address this. So it's also another thing to say, these are the challenges. Now let's focus on
what are we going to do about it?
That's right.
It's talking the talk, it's walking the walk.
That's right. We can talk for days about problems, but let's
solution that part.
We know we're done talking. We know these are the issues.
That's why we have this podcast, because we want to hear all about those solutions and how we connect those solutions to the people who need them.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your vision for what's coming up for Georgia. I know you have your State of Gwinnett coming up, right? But give us a little snippet of what you have in store for Gwinnett.
Now, I can't give it all away because I want you to the State of the County to learn, but I'm excited because this will be my third State of the County. And the goal really is, so the theme is on leading with intention. And so what you're going to hear in the theme is how Gwinnett County government has always stepped up to address the needs with intentionality. And of course, that comes from me being an intentional leader. Everything that I've done up until this point really has been about intention, but it's also encouraging a movement of leaders to lead with intention. So leaders that are in city government, state government, leading our school system, leading our businesses, it's really about building this fabric of our community where people feel safe, where they feel accepted, where they feel that their needs are met. Is creating this ecosystem, and everyone has to step up and do their part. And so there will be that challenge that comes out of the State of the County address. And of course, I will be unveiling some key initiatives. I'll be talking about some of the challenges that we're continuing to face that are being faced at a national scale, like workforce challenges, crime and public safety. I'll be talking about housing affordability, homelessness, and some of the initiatives that we'll be undertaking over the next few months to address that. And so that's a snippet of it. I can't give too much. I'm essentially giving my whole State of the County address, but I think it's one that will really elevate what I said earlier about humanity and recognizing that our people are our greatest asset in this community. We can talk all day about our award-winning park system, our great economy, amazing roads, but if we don't have the people that are supporting it, what good is it? And if the people are not cared for, they are not going to support, these great things that we tout all day. It's not important if the people who are cared for are not supporting it. So,
okay. So under your leadership, what are some things that Gwinnett County has started to do to address the homelessness?
So one of the first things we did was undergo a complete housing assessment and a comprehensive housing study to look at baselining where we are with housing affordability. And we recognized that there was a great percentage of residents who are cost burdened, which means that they pay more than 30% of their income towards housing. And some families are precariously housed, which means that they're coupling up and living with other families or living out of their cars or living in hotels and motels. And that has become a standard housing for some of those families. And because we never had a dedicated staff that was addressing that, we just created a new division on community and housing development just last September with 11 dedicated staff who are solely going to focus on building out our housing goals, our housing priorities, as well as addressing the need for homelessness. We have one emergency shelter that has wraparound services for women and children. The second phase we're looking to do is to open up a second emergency shelter. And we're also looking at strategies to address homeless men with children, because right now the county lacks any resources for men
and children.
Unless you're a man coming out of the jail or the prison system, then there's resources to integrate them back into society. But for single men who are struggling to make ends meet with kids, we lack those resources, and we're having to send them to Atlanta or other jurisdictions to be served. And that, to me, that's unacceptable. I believe that there's opportunity in a space for the county to step in and work with our providers like United Way and some of the other nonprofit providers to fill in that gap, because it's really about meeting the gaps. It's not, enhancing where we already exist.
Yes.
So those are some of the strategies that we'll be deploying over the next several months. But homelessness, because I've been affected by it, is a personal interest of mine. And so, and then even having a conversation with Catherine last month about homeless veterans. People who have stepped up to serve our community our country in so many ways. It saddens me that we have a problem with housing our veterans, and that they are subject to sleeping on the street in their cars. They're not making ends meet. That's unacceptable to me, and we need to do something about that.
Totally. When we did our MLK event and partnering with the Sheriff's Department, Let 'em Eat, Gwinnett Chat, we had the Girl Scouts of Greater Atlanta, Urban League. We had so many volunteers and different. We had Public sponsor, Kroger sponsor. It was just a really great event, over 30 volunteers. But we had prayer warriors. It was a preacher just driving by, and he said, "Oh, what's going on over here? I want to volunteer." And I said, "Oh my goodness, I needed someone to help with the prayer line." And God sent me a minister, right, to help pray. And we had over 6 to 10 people go over in their prayer line for help. But of those people, my point is, we had some veterans living in their car.
Wow.
We had a wife, an ex-wife of a veteran who needed resources, that was there to get some resources for her ex-husband who's the veteran. So if we do these things collectively, we really can identify and get those people connected to resources, which leads me to my question. Of the 16 cities within Gwinnett, how are the municipalities partnering with your initiatives? Do you have like a round table with the mayors and city council and the leaders within the community, in addition to the nonprofits, to help create a unified force
so that it's not piecemeal?
Yes.
I think that is an excellent idea. And I think that there is thirst for cities to come together around this issue. Unfortunately, not every city feels that this is a priority in their city because they don't see it.
They ignore it.
That's it.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'll say it.
You could say that.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
For a long time in Gwinnett, we acted as if homelessness didn't exist in Gwinnett. But when folks are living in hotels, they're unhoused.
Right.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's exactly right. It has been ignored for too long, which is why, kicking the can down the road has only made it worse. And I'm willing to stop the can. The can now stops with me. I'm not going to kick this any further down. But I think it's an excellent point to bring the cities. One of the challenges is the cities make up 25% of the county and 25% of the population. The county is responsible for 75% of the population. What we have in place is called SDS, which is a service delivery system agreement with all of the cities, that says that the county provides these services and resources, and the cities provide these services and resources, so that we're not duplicating, we're not overlapping, and we're not double taxing residents for services that they get in the county versus what they get if they live in a city. So trying to navigate that, the cities also get ARPA funds. They get federal dollars through CDBG to address homelessness and housing. It was only up until this year, the city of Peachtree Corners, which is our largest city, decided to opt in to being counted as CDBG funding, because for a long time they thought being tied to those dollars was a negative and not a positive. But it only hurt their residents, because then their residents couldn't apply for needed housing grants to help with assistance with upkeeping their home, rental, just a myriad of housing goals. But I will commit to this because I think this is such a great idea. I will kickstart a roundtable with my mayors to address both housing and homelessness, so that we can work collectively across the table. And you can guarantee.
All right.
Because this idea came from you all. So I'm going to launch this, and I'm going to give you credit for it. And because I believe if something is a good idea and it's needed, then we need to see how to put it in place and make it work. So
awesome.
Thank you. Great leadership. That's what I'm saying.
That's responsive leadership.
That's right. That we need to mirror, right? Lead it from the top down.
Yes.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you.
We really appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
So I was on that same vein. What came to my mind was, did you hear the story just yesterday where Atlanta is sending back millions of dollars that did not get used for rental assistance when folks during the pandemic?
I never like to criticize any of my peers around the region.
Oh, that wasn't for a Christmas, but my next question was going to be, did Gwinnett have any funding?
But I was going to add to that, but I absolutely think it is concerning when you have $10 million that you have to give back to the federal government. I was mind blown, and I see the reasons why they gave, because it comes with stipulations and red tape. I get it and I understand, but Atlanta, I would see, has more need than we see out here. Yeah. We didn't have any money. We didn't have any money left because we've exhausted every single cent. So much so that the state gave us another $30 million to say, you have done such a great job expending these funds. We need you. We have another 30 million. We need you to get through this quickly. By the end of which was last year, to phase out all of our funds. And we did that expeditiously because there was so much need. We couldn't get it out fast enough. Our efforts have been so successful that it has actually been recognized by the U.S. Treasury as a best in class for how to handle the emergency rental assistance program. We had a system networked. We had a very few setbacks. We had some folks that really tried to cheat the system. They didn't get away with it. But with anything, when it comes with funding, there's going to be opportunists that are going to try to manipulate the system, and we've seen that. But outside of those minor infractions, we were able to administer millions of dollars and house close to 30 million people. I'm sorry, 30,000 people. 30,000 people in our county to keep them stably housed. Now, Cobb County had a similar instance, and they gave their funding to Fulton County. I would have taken the city of Atlanta.
Right. I was just about to say that. Maybe they could give that money to Gwinnett.
Give it to us. You could have contacted us. We would have taken it. There could have been some IGA or something, intergovernmental agreement. We could have helped you spend those funds, because we still have people that are in dire need of housing, and they're on the verge of losing their housing. And we are now in a place where we're transitioning those folks to other resources through the state, but we know that we can get those funds to them faster. So it's a work in progress.
Yes. So just to switch just a little bit, going to our youth, and then we'll talk a little bit more about veterans too, but if we have time, foster children who age out, and what resources do we have for them? And what type of programming do we have to help combat the negativity that Gwinnett is experiencing in our school system?
Well, the first part of the question is the county has no role in foster care and
That's state and
fostering.
federal
That
funds.
has always been a state issue, and this
Mhm.
through the Department of Family and Children Services, which the
Mhm.
county does provide a subsidy.
Okay.
So there is no. We really have no mandates from the state to address the foster issue, but we're willing to work with any of our providers for resource support. Many of the organizations and nonprofits that provide resources to foster families and foster children do receive grant funding from the county. That's
Okay.
the extent of it. But I can't, that is not our area. And so we really don't engage in the state.
Yeah. Thank you for the educational piece, because I've been posed those questions. What about our foster children? I know 2 nonprofits that have a foster program for children in that demographic, but I just wanted to know if there's anything on that level. But the grants help.
So absolutely apply for ARPA funding through our grants division, and any funding through our federal funds would support those initiatives outside. But from a policy standpoint, that is not our, we don't navigate in those spaces. But I'm always willing to see what the county can do to assist.
Yeah. DFACS gets their funding from federal dollars and state dollars.
Okay.
So
state, federal, and they also are required to receive a county match, and so we provide a subsidy of $600,000.
Well, that's good. So there are resources for them. We just need to make sure they get connected to those resources.
And a lot of people don't know this, but foster care youth can stay in care up until the age of 21.
Oh.
And they can get college paid for, or trade school if they want to. But a lot of people don't know that. They think that if they turn 18, they just have to, they have to get out, and they really don't. But there's some stipulations on that. But
well, that's good to know. I would love to have a database of that information and resources, so we know how to point folks in the right direction too. Because our go-to is DFACS.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And then the second part about programming for our youth.
So one thing that I'm really excited about through our community services department is establishing a clear partnership with the schools to create that continuum of care when students leave the facilities and they're out into the community, and some who don't have access to after school programs or resources. And there's that idle time where they can engage in risky behavior. We're cognizant that having ample opportunities for sports, activities, recreational activities, libraries, making sure that we fill in the gaps where they don't exist is part of that plan in partnership with the school system. And so we've been working with one of the area superintendents to help create this blanket of support when the kids are out of school. And that includes early childcare as well. Our Building Babies' Brains initiative, which we're really excited about, to reach those early stages to ensure that kids are ready for school and ready to learn when they get to school. And then from an after school standpoint, we also have STEM programs and after school programs. We only have 4 right now, which is part of a boost grant, which provides STEM education, after school in a program where kids in some of the most impoverished areas in the Title I schools have access to those programs. Now, this is piloting this program, but the curriculum is based on STEM education, and it does keep the kids engaged in activities after they leave the school system. And then we're also working on healthy play options, because kids need opportunities to play and access playgrounds and resources. And we know that some communities, especially in our poorer areas, do not even have access to a playground. So we've been working with the schools to create an IGA, intergovernmental agreement, for our staff to help maintain and manage the schools after when the schools close, because those are always barricaded and locked up. How can we open them up to the community? Because we recognize that those are most immediate in those areas, and we can allow kids to have access. And then we can bring our staff to do healthy programming. And we have a number of recreational opportunities. We also started our internship program, Career Starts Here, which is a paid internship program for our youth in the summertime. They get $15 an hour to learn a skill trade with the county in different areas, in our water department, in our public safety department, in our IT department. And so they're getting viable skills. They're getting paid for it. They're learning about local government in the interim. And it's been a great win-win. We've actually hired some of the youth after the internship who are now paid employees.
And what was the name of that program again?
It's called Career Starts Here. So that was launched last year as a pilot, and we have fully funded it in the 2023 budget this year to fully scale it. And the idea was to not choose it really was to gear towards those who come from various socioeconomic backgrounds, but more so on the lower end of that, because we want to give kids a chance to build wealth and, to understand job security and job training and really prepare them for the future.
Yeah, that program is just like one of the ones that I volunteer with Gwinnett Chat Outreach. That's exactly what he does, behind the scenes tours. We went to the water department and it was just so amazing. I was like, yeah, y'all do all of this at Gwinnett?
Yes, isn't it amazing?
It was a nice tour. We had it all behind the scenes, and it's just amazing. And they were able to talk to the staff and everything, and just see the whole process, how the water within our community goes and everything. And so now they were exposed to career opportunities as well. They talked about education that's required and all that other great stuff. So I love that. And then how do you get involved in your program? Is it online for the young people?
So we're going to be opening up the applications, I gather soon, because we usually start with the orientation in April. Before they get out of school in May, so that they're ready for their internships. So I will be sure to get that information to you both. But we'd love to post that. And I'm going to be posting about it on my social media page as well, to make sure that gets amplified.
Absolutely. And even if we need to volunteer one time, that'll be good too, because we have to be there. You know? Absolutely. Yeah, because we started volunteering with the high school. So my cluster is South Gwinnett.
I'm Shiloh.
Yeah,
okay. So I'm in Parkview. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're trying to get into these schools and do as much as we can to help. Okay. Again, we're not talking about it. We actually are doing it.
That's the thing, because everyone, we talk to so many people, and everyone wants to talk about, these teenagers are doing this, these teenagers are doing that,
bad parents and all this
stuff. But what are you doing?
Right.
If you're not actively involved in trying to make a difference in some young person's life,
that's right,
then shut up.
That's
right, because your complaints are meaningless if you're not going to help with the solution. Our administrators, our teachers, our school community needs our support.
Absolutely.
They don't need our complaints. And if you're going to complain, then come with a solution.
Yep,
that's right.
That's the same thing in government too. It's like, okay, you can complain all day. What's your solution?
What are you going to do about it?
Right. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to get involved to change it? So, yes.
And if you don't know, just ask
around.
And somebody, trust me, it's enough work that needs to be done. We are always open to receive volunteers. As long as you have a heart to give and to be of service, trust me, we'll find some place. We need tech crew. Look, no, I'm just kidding. but yeah. So, I really enjoy talking to you. We can talk to you on and on and on. It's so much to cover.
Oh, so much to cover. That means it has to be a part two. Maybe after the state of the county. Yes.
That's right. Look, I'm going to do my plug. We did the Dancing of the Stars last year.
Oh, look, you about to ask me what? Okay, what's that mean? You want to dance again?
No, we would love for you to dance.
I knew you were going to ask.
Or to be a judge. But think about it. Because we would love, we're trying to represent Gwinnett, and we want all the leadership in Gwinnett to show the world what we are about. And
I would love to be a judge. Now, a judge, yes. I feel like I might embarrass myself if I get on stage. I might not live that down.
These dances at Fred Astaire Dance Studio, they are the best. And you have so much time, and you trust me, I'm sure you have a little salsa in you.
Yeah.
On the walks.
That question was asked to me last year, and I was like, yeah, I'll donate. I'll put money on yours.
Yeah,
I know my limitations.
That's a tall ask.
towards the end of the year, so you'll have plenty of time. And you're running for re-election, right?
Yes, I am. I'm gearing up now. Next year is election cycle. You want me to do it right before election cycle? Okay.
But see, if it's next year, then you need to get all the fun out before you start,
Getting on your grind.
Yeah, getting on your grind.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's up to be a judge.
Well, put that down. She's a yes as a judge. She's a yes for a judge. That's good. Take that. Take that.
I know. I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah, it's always a pleasure,
Yes.
Chairwoman Nicole Love Hendrickson, the first Black
Yes.
Chairwoman of Gwinnett. That's right.
We are so excited that you took the opportunity to talk with us
and show the community that you're human, right? You're out there doing the work for the people.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It was my pleasure. I enjoyed talking to both of you ladies. I too agree. We can talk about this all day.
Yeah.
But thank you for lifting up our leaders in our community. You know, we go through so much, but we all deeply care about this county. And I love that you're providing a platform for us to truly showcase and highlight our not only our challenges, but the things that we're passionate about, because we're all doing our part.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that.
So,
thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.
Thank you.